Now, what is a filter? A filter is basically a little syntax feature you can use in your template to transform some output in the template. And that is important. A filter helps you transform output in the data. It doesn't transform the data itself, it only transforms what the user sees. A typical example, and actually a filter we will build, is a filter which takes an input, a string let's say, and turns it all to uppercase letters. Important, Vue.js doesn't ship with built-in filters, and therefore all the filters we need have to be built by our own. I will show you how to build such a filter now, and thereafter I'll also show you an alternative to filters and explain why this alternative oftentimes may be the better choice. But let's start with building our own filter. So I want to build a filter. So let's say here in my application here, I have some data. And in this data, of course, I return my data object as always. In this object, I got some text I want to output. This text could be simply be hello there. Now what I want to do is I want to output this text here, and of course I can use string interpolation for that with double curly braces, and with my server running we see hello there. Not too spectacular, has nothing to do with filters. Now I want to turn this text to be all uppercase. Important thing is I don't want to make it uppercase in this data property itself. Text should stay as it is. I want to give it back in the uppercase form in the template only. For that we will create a filter, and we do create such a filter by adding the filters property here to our object. This will create a new filter which we can use in this component's template. Important, this will register this filter locally, so it can only be used in this template and the template of this component of this instance. You can of course also register a filter globally with Vue filter. Now, if you register it globally, you have as a first argument the name of the filter. Let's name it to lowercase, for example, and I will work on this in a second. And here in our local filter, we have the key as the name for the filter. I'll name it to uppercase. So like this maybe, to uppercase. Of course, I could have also used the camel case syntax we saw before for components. And now a filter is only a function. And we can use such a string key name for a function. Again, the alternative would be to use to uppercase like this. Now this function here always gets a value as the input. The value will be the data we want to transform. And I will show you how to pass the data there in a second, but be aware that each filter will get a value because that is what a filter is there for, transform some data. That value can then be used to do any operation on it, and then in the end we have to return the transformed value, or it could be the same value if you don't want to do anything, but then the filter is not that useful. So here I want to simply say return value to uppercase. This will turn it to all being uppercase, to all characters being uppercase, and will return this updated value. I can then use this filter in this template, since it is a local filter, by adding the pipe symbol here. This might resemble Angular 2 pipes if you know Angular 2, and it works very much the same. And then the filter name. So here that would be to uppercase like that, for example. Now with this registered here, I can now hit save, and we see hello there in all uppercase. And now with that, we created our own filter. This is how easy it is. Just a function getting a value and returning the transformed value. It gets the value automatically because we added here with the pipe symbol, and that will Vue.js to take the piece in front of the pipe and put it or pass it as a value to this function, to the uppercase function. That is how we create such a filter. Let me next show you how to create a global filter, how to register it globally, as we do here, and then how to chain multiple filters.